All right, folks, welcome back to the channel. We have a project for you today. We have a vapor barrier, how to install a vapor barrier. I'm in Colorado. It depends on where you live and by building code. But this, obviously with the window right there, is an exterior wall in a bathroom. And because there's moisture, we need a vapor barrier. This is my puppy Bria. She's my helper. I will try to link my tools that I use in this video in the description box right below the video for easy access and reference. She probably shouldn't be in here with the insulation, but I'm not fishing it around or anything like that, so we're okay right now. If I was, I would be using my 3M respirator if I was moving all that insulation around, putting up dust and debris in the air. Because this is an exterior wall, once again, we need a vapor barrier that sits on top of our insulation, stapled into our studs, and we'll talk about that as we get through the video. You can use acoustic caulking for the edges. I'm not going to do this portion of the wall or the whole entire wall or this whole entire wall, only the exterior wall. It is going to fold over maybe to about right here, which is maybe about 6 inches or so. Nice and straight lines, 90-degree angles, stapling it in right here. This is where you would use your acoustic caulking if you want to. I'm going to be using staples with some tuck tape, and I'll talk about that. That's a special vapor barrier tape. It's a Canadian brand. All the Canadian contractors use it. It's not like your house wrap. This is a specialty tape. I can only find it on Amazon. I'll link it below once again. I'm using a 6mm vapor barrier. I'm just going to call it plastic, but it's meant for vapor barrier. And we're going to go all the way to the top. Again, overlapping over here, maybe not overlapping 6 inches over here because I don't have anything to staple into. So maybe just right here on this stud here, but then 6 inches over on this stud over here. Again, all the way to the top, all the way to the bottom, stapled in. And if you have to do different portions of it, like if you had maybe half and you have a seam down here, that's where you're going to use your tuck tape to tape the seams, if that's just easier to work with instead of one whole sheet. Now, with that said, in the perfect world, if this ceiling was gone, I would do the entire ceiling with vapor barrier as well. But what I am gonna do is I'm gonna rig up a little bit of a vapor barrier by the ventilation fan hole here. So first thing you wanna do is you wanna go up to your studs, and I've already removed them, but you want to get rid of any staples, if you have staples, drywall nails, anything that's hanging out, because we want this vapor barrier nice and tight over it. Now, before we do the vapor barrier, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go around with my hand and I'm going to fill for any cold spots. It's actually a cold day out there in Colorado. We've had a little bit of a rainstorm. So I'm going to go ahead and go around and fill for any drafts. If I fill a draft, I'm going to go ahead and use spray foam. Let it dry, then box cutter it off. If I don't fill any drafts, then I can go ahead and proceed forward with my vapor barrier. But also, on a side note, before you do your vapor barrier, because I'm going to be doing tiling and cement board backing for my tile, I want to make sure my studs are nice and flush. Obviously not this one right here. Contractor originally put that one in that direction, maybe for a shower door, screw in the hardware. I'm not really sure. Don't quote me on that one. But I've shimmed a little bit, and I want to get my studs within about 1/8 of an inch because I want my tile job to look really nice. So let's go ahead and break that down first. Folks, we're going to be right back to the vapor barrier video, but I want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of this video, which is the Ridge wallet. Now, I got my hands on their 18-karat gold-plated Ridge wallet, which is their most high-end expensive one, and also this amazing color called the Forged Ember. The Ridge wallet is a minimalistic wallet. I use it for nights out. If you're going to a wedding, this is a lot smaller than my massively large Louis Vuitton wallet. The Ridge wallet holds 1 to 12 cards. And right here, I have 8 cards in it, including my very thick metal Crypto.com card, which is like 2 cards in one. You also can carry cash with this as well in the included strap, and they also give you a secondary money clip if you rather go that option as well. They offer many different colors, designs, carbon fiber. I really love the Forged Ember and the 18-karat gold plated. To access your cards, you simply push up on the cards with the little slot down below here, and then pull out the cards to fan them out for which one you want. You can hold your driver's license, of course, in here as well. And so overall, I am very impressed with the build and quality of the Ridge wallets. Now, great news for you guys. Currently filming this, Father's Day is just around the corner. But even if you are not watching this around Father's Day, which is a perfect gift idea, use my direct link, which is right here, and all this information will be in the description box of the video as well. Use that link for 15% off your order. Whatever you order, definitely check out their products below. I highly recommend them. Get 15% off and free shipping with whatever you order with my direct link once again below. So thank you again to Ridge for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to this vapor barrier install. Now, if you have an old vapor barrier that's just looks bad, it looks worn out, then go ahead and use a box cutter and go ahead and cut out the old one. If you do have some good end pieces, so to speak, you can kind of come in, cut a square, and then that'll be easier for taping later down the road. Now, after you remove that old vapor barrier, that's the time to look to see if there's been airflow coming in your exterior wall, inside getting your insulation all nasty and dusty. If you do see those spots, let me take you inside here. So let me show you a couple examples here. Now this, what you're looking at, that's not mold. What that is that's the glue from the back of the paper. Once I took down the drywall, there was like paper right here that was stuck on the insulation. Once you rip that off, that's just the lines of the glue. But what you're looking for is, see, there's like a little bit of drywall dust. That's okay. But you're just looking for air coming in and just nasty. Go ahead and pull that section off and patch a new section in. And then as you can see right over here, I actually inserted insulation in here as well, covering all potential drafts later down. Now, the vapor barrier will do a great job of preventing cold air coming in, just like a greenhouse type of a technology. But if you can, go ahead and seal up any gaps like that with insulation. Spray foam if you really want to. Once I frame this in, check that video out. Should be out on the channel already. I'm going to double check, make sure there are no nails or staples. Then I'm going to go and make sure my studs are nice and level. If not, I'm going to shim them, electric plane them, belt sander them down if one is off very little amount. Then I'm going to be putting on my vapor barrier, then my cement backer board. Again, just a vapor barrier on the exterior bathroom wall. This is an interior wall, no need to do it. This is an interior wall, no need to do it as well. I'm going to be tiling in this side, and it's going to end right about here. And then I'm going to be doing mold resistant drywall for the rest of the bathroom. But this is a vapor barrier video. And for the window, because I'm going to be tiling in the window, I'm probably going to bring the vapor barrier all the way up against the edge of it here, because I'm going to be doing small pieces of backer board, cement board over my studs. And I'm going to be tiling in the interior portion of the window here. So we'll show you that. Okay, if you look at this right here, this is my vent tube. This is not a drain pipe. Now, let's just say people were packing insulation around their drain pipe. That's just for noise, so you're not hearing as much draining noise. So people do that. I'm going to go ahead and leave just a little bit of that vent pipe exposed. If the future homeowners years from now pull off the tile and all sorts of nonsense, and they can kind of figure out like, oh, there's something right there. All right, we got our vapor barrier in. I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks. Now, it's not completely done. Obviously, my window is covered up right now, but I'll show you exactly what to do with that in just a second. Particular staples that I use on this project, 3/8 10 millimeter. You don't have to use those, but grab some nice T50 staples. Make a long story short, I had a lot of issues with staple guns, so I went out and bought this. I'll try to link it in the description box below. This is kind of a tack hammer stapler. Takes a little getting used to, but if you don't already have the staple gun, construction staple gun, like bap, bap, you know, where you squeeze in the whole trigger, it's not bad. It just takes a little bit of getting used to. So what I did, again, this is 6 mil, and it is 10 by 25 feet. So I'm 7.5 feet tall from floor to ceiling. So what I did is I actually measured the width, and that's how I cut it, because I knew it was going to be 10 feet wide. So I rolled out on the kitchen floor, I rolled out what I wanted to staple into right here, coming around a nice tight corner to here. Cut that, knowing that it was going to be 10 feet in length, which I used a box cutter and sliced through just beautifully. But what I did is I stapled it first up here in the middle. I reached over, did a nice tight corner, made a couple staples to kind of hold it in place, worked my way over here. Now what you see here is a couple mistakes. So what I did is I worked this corner first, and I didn't even see a wrinkle right here. So I actually had to pull out the vapor barrier from the staples, but I marked them with a magic marker. So every single one of these little circles, I'm gonna put the tuck tape over and seal it up. So once I got that corner into play with a beautiful line, I ended right there. Then I worked my way this way. Coming up to down, I have it stapled in right here, enough where I could put the tuck tape over the vapor barrier and the wood. Again, you can use acoustic caulk if you really want to. Stapled here. Some staples are like 8 inches. Some staples are 18 inches, which reminds me I need to actually put one more probably right in between these. It's a good time to show you the staple hammer. Now, again, it does take a little getting used to, but you just swing it like a hammer and bada bing, bada boom. Now that came in real nice and hot right there. But again, sometimes if you're working quick and you don't hit it flat, you'll get maybe a little bit raised up, and that's where you take your hammer and just tap it in. Pretty cool nonetheless. Here's a good example right there. This one is raised up. So you just tap it with your hammer. Nice and flat. What you don't want is you don't want your backer board. Obviously, it'd smush into it probably, but yeah, if you can catch it. Went down on the studs here as well. All the studs in the wall, 18 inches, about a foot. Some of them, I went about a foot or so. Maybe even less than that, some of them. I put a lot of staples in, probably more than I should have. And then I used a box cutter and went halfway right here, and I'll use tuck tape. We'll show you that in just a second. Went over, again, came down, making sure there's no big wrinkles or seams. If there's something small like this, that's just going to get flattened out with the backer board. Went all the way across, as you can see, box cuttered it across. And then what you want over here, then what I did is I went to the top, and you want a nice, clean 90-degree corner, because you're going to put your backer board in, and you don't want to be pulling on the vapor barrier, pulling it off of your staples. So that's a nice, clean corner all the way down. Stapling it here, all the way down at the bottom there. Now for the window portion, what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cut with our box cutter right on the middle of the wood, all the way around the top, all the way in the middle of the wood here, middle of the wood right here. We're going to remove that portion of the vapor barrier, and then we're going to stick in our other vapor barrier that's going to overlap on top of this vapor barrier, and then we'll do tuck tape over that as well. Okay, once again, this is tuck tape right here, sheathing tape for PE vapor barrier. The blue tuck tape is meant for vapor barriers. The company does make a red one. This, again, is a Canadian company. You cannot find this at a big box store in America. I got this on Amazon. Again, get the blue if you're doing vapor barrier, house wrap, get red. I will link this once again in the description box below. All right, let me show you an example here. So I've taped it up in a couple different strips because this stuff is sticky. I've cut my vapor barrier down, and we're not completely done with it here. We're going to go ahead and seal up that edge corner there. This is a better shot here coming up. And then once you have that edge up right there, we're going to fold this over, probably cut that down maybe a few inches, and then tape it all the way around top and bottom and side, just like this here. So this is now folded over. The seam is right about here, as you can see here, and then we'll do the same thing to the top, sealing up this area here, just like we have right here. If you feel a little bit more comfortable, again, acoustic caulking right on the edge, or you can do as I'm doing here, and potentially you could tack in a few staples. Again, I'm going to be using backer board because I'm going to be tiling this portion right here as well. All right, let's get the backed up wide angle lens shot, and we'll take a look at it a little bit closer here. The vapor barrier is done. As you see here, I folded it over a little bit further, so obviously it doesn't look pretty, but who cares? Backer board's going to go on. It doesn't really matter. I actually didn't swipe off about 2 or 3 inches. I just folded it over and taped it up. So let's go ahead and go in closer. All right, so what we have here down at the bottom, I shot back that up so everything was clean down below. Box cuttered off my old vinyl flooring here. Now that's just OSB subflooring. Again, down where it was stapled, then I taped it to the bottom footboard. Where you see it kind of a little bit doubled up, like right around here, that's for some oddball reason. If you get some sort of like, I don't know, like little gap or something like that, where you just throw one more piece of tape on there to seal some sort of gap. Coming up here all the way around, making sure that I double checked all my mess ups. If I stapled it or got a little rough while stapling it, that one might need one. I mean, you don't have to be this careful, but you just want to make sure you repair your cuts or dings in the vapor barrier so no moisture gets through. All the way at the top as well. Coming around the edges, again, the top is folded up, so are the sides, as well as the bottom here. Now, after you're done putting it on, go ahead and give it a nice rub down here. Be a little careful over the insulation part, because if you put your hand in there too far, you'll actually like dent it in. You might even tear the staples. So over the studs, you can get really heavy with that, and then over this, you can kind of just, nice and smooth, heavier over the studs. On the shelving area, that's wood. Looking real good. Fix my staple mess ups over here. Bottom is looking real sharp there as well. It's sticking to wood like a champ. I'll leave it up to you if you want to go acoustic caulking, but with the tuck tape, blue tuck tape, it's sticking really well. I just cut the stuff with scissors. It's super sticky for sure. So you can see here, the tuck tape literally goes right on to the vapor barrier, comes over on the studs. Now, I'm actually cutting in with the video. This is about 3 or 4 days later. There's no lift ups. The tuck tape is actually attaching to the wood very nicely. Absolutely no complaints. Now, if I didn't make it clear, on the very top, the tuck tape, it's not touching the acoustic, which I'm going to do a skim coat. It's not touching the top. It's overlapping the vapor barrier and attaching to the wood. But of course, I have staples every foot, every 18 inches or so. The tuck tape is just giving a second layer of attachment. I keep mentioning it, but if you don't want to do the tuck tape all the way around the edges, use acoustic caulking if you'd rather do that. But if you have any seams or mess ups, you're going to have to use the tuck tape anyway. So you might as well just use that, as long as it gets some good stickiness for you as it is for me. Well, overall, guys, hopefully the video has helped you do a vapor barrier and tips and tricks how to do one better. Again, in the perfect world, go ahead and do a vapor barrier over here if your drywall is missing. You're going to put up new drywall, but I, again, have blown in insulation. It's going to get nasty messy, so I'm just going to go ahead and vapor barrier this one like we already talked about, skim coat it, bada bing, bada boom. I will go ahead and once again in the description box right below the video, link the tools that I use for this project. If you wouldn't mind hitting that thumbs up button on the way out, helps the channel and the YouTube algorithm. Also subscribe if you want to see more videos like this and this full house remodel underway. Definitely stay tuned to subscribe for this bathroom and the final reveal. I will see you guys on the next video. Take care, guys. Bye-bye for now. Don't let the party stop, guys. Hit one of these videos, continue to watch, and we'll see you soon.